Alright, so today we are tackling disorganized attachment.
Disclaimer alert! Disclaimer alert! Please pause the video and read the disclaimer.
Also known as fearful attachment. Now, if you want to know what attachment is, watch this video. It'll tell you the different types of attachment. And if you want to know what ambivalent attachment is, watch this video. And it'll tell you what all you need to know. Not all, but some you need to know about attachment. This can be a very controversial attachment to speak about for many reasons, but I won't get into that because then that will make this video go long. But it is one of the most painful way of attaching because these people are high proximity seeking, but very fearful of abandonment and very fearful of attaching as well. So they want to attach, but they're also afraid of attaching. And I always start with the person and what they experience and what kind of drives them.
So let's start with the person. Disorganized attachment, that's what it's called in children, right? And in adults, it's called fearful attachment. So let's start with the children. So in children, these children fear proximity to parents who are typically physically and verbally abusive and to the extreme sexually abusive. That makes sense. How do you want to expect me to want to be close to somebody who abused me in any form? Okay. They also tend to show a mixture of avoidant and resistant or aggression behavior. So they typically seem to be problem children with behaviors in schools and everywhere that they go, right? They feel little to no sense of safety, right? Even in a safe environment, they don't feel safe because, again, their home is chaotic. There's no organization, there's no structure, so they never feel safe, these kids, okay? They are unable to self-regulate, right? If they cry, they can't help themselves. They cry forever too until, those kids, they cry until you go, right? If they're angry, then the whole house goes on fire. They break everything, right? They cannot self-regulate themselves. They cannot soothe themselves. They struggle. And they seem to daze a lot. They daydream, right? They look in a distance. They seem to be confused and fearful to answer, to even say, because answering at home could be wrong, right? They get in trouble so much. Home is crazy, so that they might be afraid to express themselves, right? So that's in kids. And in adults, the adult fears proximity or intimacy in a relationship. They want to be in a relationship, but they are afraid of being in a relationship. So how sad is that? I want you, but I'm afraid that you're going to explode on me. They also fear showing vulnerability. These are the people who always have it together. They have their lives together. They can also tend to be high achievers because they go drive if they can get their emotional stuff in order. But they struggle with showing vulnerability. If they feel uncomfortable or they feel threatened, they rage. They get pissed off, right? When they're mad, they break everything and everything goes out of control. So they have a lot of rage and anger responses, right? They express little to no empathy with others. They can't relate because they're just in a really weird stage, and they feel little or no understanding to personal boundaries, right? They tend to give too much of themselves and they expect others to give too much of themselves either. So very little boundaries. I mean, you might not have all of these in your partner and might not see all of them, but you might see some of them. The best person to tell you about it is them because they know how they feel. Let's go to the parents.
I think the thing that really defines a parent of a fearful attaching person is incompetence. I'm not saying that the parent is incompetent, but I am saying that the parent feels incompetent the majority of the time. It's like they don't have the skills to take care of the child. They don't know how to be a parent. Maybe because they themselves were parented badly, or maybe because they don't have support, but they just fearful. So the baby cries, they cry with the baby. The baby goes into a frantic, they go into a frantic with the baby. They don't know how to soothe that baby. On top of that, they're not emotionally regulated themselves. They can't regulate themselves, and therefore they cannot regulate their baby. They are violent, they hit, they are sexually explosive. So yes, a little bit like the ambivalent, the parent of the ambivalent attached person, but more to the extreme. So it's just chaos. Home is never really the same. So where the ambivalence is like, it's unpredictable what's going on here. I might get this, I might get that. Here, it's chaos all the way. Parents probably fight all the time. They constantly feel unsafe because they are hit. They have punitive parents, they have explosive parents. So I just said to you that the parent might cry because the baby's crying. My fridge is going on. The parent might cry because the baby's crying. Well, these parents, that's not the only thing they do. The child might cry, fall, and get hurt. This parent might laugh and tell the child, get up, you're not hurt, right? Instead of soothe the child or say, here you should make sure that you tie your shoes, right? They're not supportive. They're not parents themselves. They have kids, but they really don't know how to be parent. They treat their kids like buddies, right? Who deserves the same equal amount of being punitive, the same equal amount of being challenged, the same. So if you challenge your friends cognitively or in a sports physically, these kind of parents, that's how they meet their kids, not as kids, but as equals. As it doesn't matter if they think the child is crazy, they'll treat them as they would treat a crazy adult, or they will treat themselves. These parents are also overreact, right? The littlest thing can just make them go explode, right? They don't meet challenging situations with the same amount of response. In this home, there is also role reversal. So because the parent cannot soothe themselves and they are explosive, the child then takes to want to make mom feel better. So they know that, okay, mom is upset. If I do this, then mom won't be upset. If I hide, or if I shut up, or if I'm not so loud, mom is not going to be upset, right? So they are the parents now. They take the role of soothing their parents, the role of making sure that the parent is okay. If I rob my mom's bag, then she won't complain that her bag hurts. And this is bad because it's not a child's job to make you as a parent feel better, right? So the child is doing everything that they can. I'll take care of my mom. And they even also grow up to be like that too, right? They tend to want to buy love. They tend to want to do things for people in order for them to be loved, right? So I have to be nice so that mom doesn't hit me. I have to buy her gifts or whatever, right? Or on the other hand, if they grew up in a home where mom or dad or mom is very bossy and controlling to the father, they tend to do the same thing, right? Because mom is abusive to the dad, the kid tries to be bossy too. You do what I want or not, right? These people tend to be like that too. And in relationships, they are bossy. They give you ultimatums. It's either you do this or I don't. They try to boss you, and if you don't really give into that, then it becomes very explosive, as it would have become in their own homes. So, and they have difficulty trusting people. They don't find it easy to trust people. They always expect people to explode because they themselves had learned from their parents, who, again, let's just say the parents were probably abused themselves. Likelihood of the parents growing up in a similar situation is higher. So they themselves learn, okay, there's an explosion. They get things through exploding or manipulation. So everything is chaotic. These people, their lives are always out of control. Somebody's always betraying them, or they're betraying somebody. They always fighting with somebody. They're always in that high stimulated place, right? They can't find peace. They don't find it easy to be in a peaceful place because they fear. They also have a high reflex response. They get started easy. Again, probably because of the violence. They're always in their emotions. They don't really connect. There's no body-mind connection. They're not aware, just like the ambivalent. They're not aware of how their body reacts to their feelings. They find it very difficult to make decisions, right? Simple thing like, hey, do you want a chicken burrito or do you want a beef burrito? It's like, what? What's going on? I don't know, whatever, right? And then you make a decision, then they get upset at you because it's not a decision that works for them, but they find it difficult to make a choice because at home it was unsafe to be autonomous, to say, yes, I want this, or no, don't do this to me, or it was unsafe. Right? I'm thinking of a woman who is in a totally horrible relationship, right? Abusive, but she can't make the decision to leave because she grew up in a place where decisions were made for her and she had to deal with the consequences. So she's still dealing with the consequences, but she can't make a decision to leave. She just, every time it's time for her to make a decision to leave, she just freezes. They're also disorganized around grief and trauma, right? They can't say, I'm feeling grief or trauma. They just in a chaotic state, right? It's really sad. But, to know that there are people who just go around they're flailing, just like, they blank out, right? They don't know how to even take care of themselves when they feel grief, even acknowledge or even know that that's what is going on with them, that's what they're feeling. They lose a lot of memory. They don't remember a lot of things. You could say, let's say you're in a group for therapy and people talk and you give them homework and say, hey, here's the homework, speak about when you were 5 or whatever. They don't remember anything, right? Until people start speaking about what they went through, then all the memories starts to come back too, right? Or they don't remember anything until they are triggered, right? So it's almost as if they've been through so much that the only way for them to survive is to shut everything down. The prefrontal cortex, the frontal lobe, for them is not fully developed. Actually, I would say, I'm not a neuroscientist, but I would say it's a bit damaged, right? That's one of the things that they would have to work on a lot in order to heal. And as I said, this type of attachment can be very controversial because the parents likely also went through the same kind of abuse and pain, so you can't really blame either or. And therapy is not about blaming, it's about healing. So let's get back into how do you then relate to a person if you're in a relationship with somebody who is fearfully attached. These people, you'll know that the most therapists would treat fearful attachment people similar to chronic PTSD because the reflexes, the lack of memory, the triggers is the same as a person who has chronic PTSD, right? So how do you help or be in a relationship with a person who is fearful? Be patient with them. Realize that they are afraid of everything. They're afraid of you leaving them. They're afraid of you not loving them. They're afraid of their own memories. They are just a ball of trauma. They need compassion. So be kind, compassionate, and be consistently kind with them, because when you are consistently kind with them, then they learn to slowly trust it. And what if you are the person who has a high fearful attachment, disorganized attachment? So it's disorganized in kids, but fearful in adults. Well, again, I'm gonna go back to mindfulness, because in order to heal, you have to go from the inside out. And as I promised I really will make a video of mindfulness. Being mindful is one of the things that I would suggest. practice mindfulness every day. It'll help with that undeveloped part of the brain, but it'll also help you get into your body, but it'll also help you delay to, and it'll help you not to be so explosive. All right, to have self-compassion, because really what you went through is difficult. Your brain might have shut down some memories, but it did so in order to help you cope and help you survive. Okay, so be compassionate to yourself as you would to your friend. And 3, I should have said this as the first one, but I called it 3, is create safety. So if you were not physically, sexually, emotionally, financially safe, you can make yourself safe. You are an adult, you're stronger, you're smarter, you're capable. Be safe in how you relate to others, the people you allow in your life. Create your own safety. That's the most important, because your biggest struggle was that you were unsafe. Create now areas that will keep you safe, that will make you feel safe. Reflect and regulation strategies is you and your partner. So how they can help you is allow you to reflect, or encourage you to reflect and regulate, and you do the same thing. You help them allow it, reflect and regulate, because most of your feelings are likely irrational. They're based on fear and the disconnection between your mind and your body. But when you have somebody who's healthy, then they can just say, yeah, you're just depressed for today, or it's raining today, but that doesn't mean it's gonna rain 3 or 4 or 5 days from now on, right? So reflect and relate. And the 1% rule that I forgot to say in my other video with ambivalent people applies to you too, is try to trust 1%, 1 more percent trust in what you do, in yourself, and in other people. If you like this video, please share it. People are out there thinking that they're crazy. They don't know that they might be struggling with mental illness that can get better, mental illness that can be healed through their own hard work. And if this is too much for you, what you're going through, seek therapy. There's a lot of therapists who are trained in this and who can help you navigate through your feelings and what you're going through. And the nice thing and the kind thing for you to do is share with one person. If you're not a social media sharer, send an email to a friend and say, hey, listen, I saw this, and encourage them to share, because knowledge is power. The more we know, the better we understand ourselves, and the more we understand where to get the help that we need. I will see you in the next video. Deuces.